Can with overdoses on the rise, there's been a recent push for syringe service programs, but the idea is receiving strong pushback from some North County leaders. This week, several San Diego city leaders sent a letter to Governor Gavin Newsom urging him to stop the program. Now North County leaders are banding together to do the same. Here to speak more on this is Vista Mayor John Franklin. John, great to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
I didn't know it, but apparently we shop at the same store.
Yeah, right.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I got the memo.
All right. So tell us about the proposal coming. It's from Sacramento.
Yeah, so it's a state program, and what happened is earlier this year, the Board of Supervisors voted along party lines with Nathan Fletcher voting in favor, and of course he's no longer there, but to bring the what's called harm reduction program, and it's not just needles, it's also crack pipe distribution and what they call safe smoking kits. We have an epidemic of overdose deaths that are related to smoking of fentanyl in San Diego, more so than any other part of the country. You know, this is really about saving lives, and the proponents of harm reduction, by the way, first and most important, I want to say, because we just talked about Narcan. Narcan, we all believe, every one of us that signed this letter, we believe strongly in the distribution of Narcan. Narcan is an emergency drug to interrupt an overdose and save lives, and every one of us supports that. Our sheriff's deputies have it on their vehicles. You can ask any one of them for Narcan. You can't carry it in your car. I wanted to carry it in my car in case by chance I could help someone, but the heat will destroy it, so it needs to be kept in a temperature-controlled environment. But we all support that. What this comes down to is research strongly demonstrates that syringe exchange programs not only leave about half of the needles that are distributed on our beaches, playgrounds, and other public spaces, but it also increases overdose deaths. And to be clear, I take no exception, and I have no argument with the idea that it does in fact reduce transmissible diseases, and that's an important goal. However, the transmissible diseases don't have the body count that overdose deaths do. We're seeing about 2,000 people die, not because of, but die with the transmissible diseases in the state of California every year, while 11,000 people are dying. 10,901 died in 2021 from overdose death. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control in the state of California alone, and those numbers continue to grow. So if one human life has the same value as another human life, and the people who are dying of overdose death, they're between the ages of 35 and 44 predominantly. This is something that's killing young people. So this is about saving lives. When we realize that transmissible disease transmission reduces by 18%, but 22% increase in the overdose deaths in counties. Annalise Packham at Vanderbilt University, peer-reviewed research published in The Economist, demonstrates that side-by-side comparison over 100 counties, those counties without and those counties that newly adopted needle exchange programs, whose numbers were tracking. When we have a needle exchange program come in, the numbers diverge. We have a small decrease in transmissible disease, and we have a equal increase in overdose deaths. This is about saving lives. When we talk about the needle exchange programs, the history is about 40 years old, maybe a little bit more, when at a time when these transmissible diseases like HIV were a death sentence. And the science and the imperative for saving life was a very different dynamic. Today, the body count is racking up with overdose deaths. If we really are serious about saving human lives, then we will have a greater net saving of human lives by not normalizing and exacerbating narcotic intravenous drug use and smoking use.
It seems completely backwards, because instead of helping somebody get treatment for their addiction, they're facilitating that addiction furthermore.
That's right. And another really important factor here, every government has a limited amount of dollars to spend. I want us to spend our limited dollars on more addiction more addiction services, more addiction beds, more treatment programs, more outreach to get people into treatment. Oftentimes, we've sent individuals into the harm reduction centers to see what their experience is, and no one ever approaches them and asks them about treatment. We're often told that it's an opportunity to form a relationship with and to solicit somebody to enter drug rehabilitation, but a lot of times that's not happening. And what it is it's a no judgment, and and I understand the aims, and I understand the good intent, but the scientific outcomes are demonstrable, albeit Alberta, Canada, the province of Alberta, eliminated its syringe exchange program because it was demonstrated to increase police calls for service. It was demonstrated there to increase overdose deaths. There are governments throughout Europe that are rethinking their approach to this. We need to rethink our approach. And Jason, they're asking us not to believe our lying eyes. That's what we need to focus on here. They call our arguments moralistic. I call them life-saving. They ask us to ignore the outcome of San Francisco and Los Angeles, where these programs already exist. They ask us to ignore the crime and the overdose deaths and the different outcomes that we're seeing there. I don't want the outcomes of San Francisco brought to the streets of San Diego, and certainly not to Vista.
All right. Well, we'll keep up with this topic, definitely.
Thank you.
And you'll let us know if you hear back from Sacramento.
I certainly will.
All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.